Welcome everyone to Never Alone Live. As usual, I'm Johnny, joined by Krista, the sober Barbie, and today we have our special guest, Brent DeWire. What's up, my brother? How you doing?
I'm blessed. How are you guys?
Dude, we are phenomenal, man. And Brent is a friend from TikTok. Brent helps so many different people, and he is extremely encouraging. I can't wait to for everyone to hear your story. Brent, tell us a little bit about Brent, man.
Brent. I was 32 years in active addiction. My addiction started way before I ever picked anything up. I was 6 years old, lost my mother. Right after I lost my mother, I was SA'd by a family member. And that started out my not being comfortable in my own skin life till I was like about 11, and then I found drugs and alcohol, and I moved on from there. Um, Life got better, then it got worse, but it never stopped using. Um, and I did this for 32 years. 32 years active addiction. Today I'm blessed to have almost 8 years. On the 14th of July, I'll have 8 years clean. And my life has changed so much from what it has been in that 32-year period, and all those things that disturbed me when I was younger. Once I found a program and learned how to deal with life, deal with all that stuff throughout those 32 years, and there's so many things, I mean, all the things they say that it can end in. I've hit them all multiple times, jails, institution. I've overdosed 5 times. Um, yeah, two of those times were a week apart in the same hospital. Talk about some angry nurses at me, huh? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, life today in recovery is so much different than it's ever been my entire life. I'm blessed today to have almost 8 years clean at 53 years old, and my life is so much better because of people like Johnny and Krista and people that paved the way for me. It showed me how to get out of my way and do something about my problem.
Well, let's back up. Thank you, Brent, dude. That's I'm telling you, I love listening to you. You're so inspirational, and love everything about what you do. Let's back up. Let's talk about. I mean, this isn't TikTok, so we can talk
Yeah.
about things kind of freely here. We can say the word drug, and oh my goodness, what was your drug of choice, dude? What were
Um,
you up to? What you
yes.
do? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
What a good
My
answer.
my preference was heroin.
Hmm.
And that was my love. I found that when I was 28 years old, and that started. I quit drinking because I got a DUI in a work truck back in Rhode Island. I drove over a Lexus, T-boned a Jeep, took out a 120-foot of state fence, went to jail, got out of jail, jumped on a Greyhound, came to Tucson. I quit drinking, but I proceeded to get high as I possibly could for another 18 years on top of that. And that's until I went to prison, and then I got out, stayed clean for 2 years. No, I stayed abstinent for 2 years till I had a good enough excuse to go back out. Then again in 2013, when I first came back to Arizona, and I cleaned for about abstinent for about 3.5 years, and then started going to the bar again, and it was a blonde girl, big boobs, and a bag of dope. Right here, I go running again. You know, um, so yeah, my choice was heroin. My DOC was yes.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the beginning. I know that, and I don't want to bring up too
You're
much.
good. I'm
I
free.
don't
I'm free to talk about anything I mentioned, anything you know about me. I am gladly talk about it because common denominators are why we recover out loud.
And the reason we do this specifically is so that we can tell our truth, right? And you had a very traumatic experience as a young man, and then like the rest of us, other substances were put in front of you, be it alcohol, be it drugs, what have you. And trauma based addiction is so common. And I think that this is the awareness we need to put out there, the prevention that we need to put out there. The reason we're here talking today, the three of us, is so that people can be aware. And I want to hear yours. Okay, so you had this sexual assault when you were a boy, and then all of a sudden you get into your adolescent years. Talk about that. Where did it
So
start?
let me start here. I was 4 years old. They took me away from my mother. When they took me away from my mother, it was because she was too sick, couldn't take care of us. The military told her she was a hypochondriac to go home. Next, the state comes and takes us. My sister's dad took her. My brother's dad took him. I stayed in state care in Utah for 2 years. My mother found out later on, after she was pregnant again, that she had full-blown cancer in both lungs. There was nothing they could do about it. They gave her a choice: the baby in your belly or yourself. She took the child. But her last wish was to get me back and to have me with her. She held out for that long. I spent the last week of her life on her hospital bed with her at 6 years old. After that, I was supposed to get flown back out to Utah and put back in state care. My grandmother said no. She took me, ran to New Mexico, got lawyers involved, ended up keeping me. In that same time that this was all going on, a family member was in the military, came back, sexually assaulted me. 6 years old. Not too dramatic, but dramatic enough, that messed with how I felt about it. What did it do to my soul? What did it do to me? How did it make me feel? It made me feel lesser than, there was all kinds of stuff running through my head back then, and over the course of all this time of using and not wanting to deal with this stuff, like losing my mom at such a young age, getting assaulted, everything that I put myself through after that, I didn't have to worry about, because I just numbed my feelings and stayed there for a long time, So it was those things that I felt lessened who I was. I didn't want to tell you about this. Hell, I didn't tell anybody about this until I hit recovery at 46 years old. No, 47. I hung out for a year and watched all you guys recover first. I stayed, I listened, 90 and 90, no, 260 and 90 for 2 years straight, and it took me doing that 260 and 90 for a year straight for me to get out of my way and do something about my problem, So there's those things that don't define who I am. And does it lessen the person that I am, or the type of man I am? Does it lessen my manhood? Absolutely not. I got 3 kids. My son's 33, my daughter's 19 that I don't know, because I was active addiction when she got pregnant, went to prison for 3.5 years, found out the child was born at 19. Find out 3.5 years later that I had a child that I didn't sign. She got given away for adoption because her mother was active addiction. I'm in the process of looking for her. Hopefully I find her. She's 19. And then I have my 6-year-old, who you all know, and I'm blessed. And I talk about this in front of my kids. My kid comes into my life, and he's the backstory of what active addiction can do. And he shares about it. When he first started coming around, he was like, "Oh, I don't want to say anything that's going to hurt someone's feelings." I'm like, whoa. If you got something to say about what my active addiction did to you, you need to tell people about it. If I feel some kind of way about it, I got that coming, And he does, and he's comfortable doing it now. And what's funny is my recovery helps him in his normal life, because those things that he struggles with and holds him back, he's able to come up and speak about it now. So our recovery is not just helping the other addict, our recovery. And that's why we recover out loud, because recovery is not limited to I'm an addict or I'm an alcoholic, or, because life on life terms that we are able to deal with today are the same commonalities that normal people have. that struggle with, try to get through. So recovery isn't about drugs. It's not about alcohol. It's about life, and what's this? No, I mean, the drugs are a symptom of our problem anyways. What's it all have to do with that life shit that drives us crazy, right? Sorry about my mouth. My bad.
No, Brent, dude. And this is why I was excited for you to come on here, because I know your passion for your recovery, and your passion for your recovery is it emulates. It's just like me and Krista. We love our recovery, and I see a lot of people. They don't understand addiction, right? They don't understand why someone. They don't understand why someone is doing meth. They don't understand why someone is drinking. And it's our job to educate the normies of PTSD. And, the shit happens. Lifes. And then we have to, we numb our feelings. I love how you said that. We numb our feelings, and opiates are that's what they do. I don't know too many recreational heroin users, but people see this, right? They see someone on heroin and they say, oh, he's just a junkie. You can't think of it like that. You have to look at the past, look at the things that the person went through. And, if you felt what they felt, then you'd probably be doing heroin too, and that's, what people need to understand. And when we talk about what it is we're doing here today, and this is awareness. This isn't necessarily for the newcomer or the old timer or someone in recovery. This is for other people as well. And then at the same time, we want people to feel that they're not alone. There's people out there that are suffering from PTSD and that are going to be going through things, and they stay in their shell for a long time and they don't come out of it, and they stay in addiction. And now with fentanyl, instead of just staying in addiction, they die, and so it's this conversation is important. And I thank you so much for opening up and sharing with us about this stuff, because I know it's hard. Just anytime we're talking traumatic stuff, it's going to be hard. But
really
Brent,
it's really not anymore, my brother.
That's the important part. That's the important part. Krista, what do you think about all this stuff?
Well, you have a story, and I'm amazed. I love your passion, and I agree 100% about recoveries for everyone. It's not just for us. And the silver lining for us is we're over here facing our character defects and taking our own inventory and fixing our wrongs as they come. And I want everyone in the whole wide world to do that. And I think we'd have a lot smoother world right now if we did. You said earlier about you tried MAT in your later 20s. So that was what, like 20 something years ago. And was that like I don't know when it came into play, but that's got to be like the earlier years of it, right?
Right. Yeah. What mine was, I mean, I've familiar with them all. My experience was methadone. And that was a struggle because it didn't stop anything. I used it, and I didn't stop using. I'd go dose in the morning, and after I left there, I'd go to my dude's house, and I'd go get a half gram or a gram, and I'd do that also. So it didn't stop anything. That one for me didn't. And I've seen that be a common denominator in so many things. Later on, whether it was prescribed or not, I had used because I was over feeling like this. I didn't want to feel like this anymore, and the only way I could stop is get stopped. So I put some effort into it, and I stopped for 3 days with some Suboxone. I'd tear a little strip and put it in my mouth, and the sick was gone. It's an amazing tool. My program says any and all, right? And there's an issue with that because you see it in there where you're pushing people out the rooms and stuff, and I don't like it. I don't like it. You know what I mean? That's why my life has nothing to do with Narcotics Anonymous. My recovery is Narcotics Anonymous. My program is Narcotics Anonymous. But I don't want, that's not the only way to recover. You know,
Right. Yeah.
there's people that stay clean for 40 years with Jesus Christ, with Narcotics Anonymous, with Alcoholics Anonymous, with CR. There's so many different ways that people do it. I want to hear how you're doing it. I want you to tell me how you're staying and how you're acting correctly, you know. But my personal opinion with Matt is I believe it's a great tool for myself and for anybody. It's not a lifestyle. That's how I feel about it. And my program too. I mean, if I have someone, I've got a family member right now that's on Matt and has to be, and it's keeping him safe. And he's trying to, he's feeling some kind of way about it, but I'm saying nothing about it right at the moment. And he asked me to sponsor him because he can confide in me, he can trust me, he can open up with me. He's not going to have any problems. I call him my nephew. His dad is my brother. We were good friends back in Rhode Island. He lives here in Arizona now. He's my brother, you know. And Andrew, I've known him since he was born. You know, this kid is just chasing it right now, and it's great, so great to watch. But he's on Matt. It's a tool that he needs right now, you know, and he has to, you know.
Do you
So
agree
it's
that doing recovery alongside MAT is crucial?
yes,
Or some kind of therapy or recovery.
right. Therapy, working a program, something. And in my program, we want to see if we can't not keep it for the rest of our life. I mean, there's people in the program, in my program, that did. They're 7, 8, 9, 10 years still on Suboxone. Am I going to say I agree with that? I'll say absolutely not. You know, but that's my program. It's not that, it's theirs. I don't have to I cannot sponsor someone that's planning on making a life choice. You know,
Right.
I can't, because it's like I said, to me, it's a tool. It's not a lifestyle. If I was going to replace, I'm just going to keep using. That's me. You know, and when I got out of jail, I was 116 pounds when I went to jail, 2018. When I got out of jail, I was 152 pounds. I got out, put me in rehab, 30 days in rehab, and they came to me and they said, you need to go on this. I said, I don't need to go on this. I need to find a way to keep from going back to how I was before. I don't have to use right now. So what would I have to go on this for? We're not curbing the appetite, because I got no appetite right now. I don't want to use, but I was 46 years old. I was over doing what I've done for 32 years. So I was on a different page. You know what I mean? I didn't want to use anymore. I just had to find, and it wasn't that, because you put me on some methadone. What am I going to do? That's not going to keep me from using. I'm going to go use anyways. You know what I mean? So Suboxone, it makes me not be able to, but if I don't know how to stay clean, and I don't want to stay clean, is that Suboxone going to do anything? Hell no. I'm going to just not take it for a day and go use tomorrow. I promise you. So that's what I mean. It's a great tool to get that it takes the sick out of sick when you're an opioid user. The sick, it's not there if you're using it correctly, you know? And if I had to go on that for 3 months or something and then figure out how to taper down and find something. So what you just said right there, Krista, is exactly what it is. Because you try to, take Suboxone, I'm going to get fixed. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Because you have to have a program, whether it be psychiatric, whether it be, I don't want to say doctor, because they're going to give you the MAC, okay? It's Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. If you're a normie, we have programs for that too. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you're a normie, but you were prescribed, and now you're strung out. Guess what? You one of us. You know, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? But maybe you didn't go through the stuff we did. Put ourselves through the stuff we did because that was my life. I'm gonna stay high, you know. So if I didn't have a program, if I didn't have Narcotics Anonymous, and just took Suboxone. Guess what? 8 years I would not be at. I'd maybe an 8-year prison sentence.
Yeah.
You know, just with Suboxone. Yeah, Matt is not your cure-all, fix-all. Here, live on this for the rest of your life and you're fixed. Bullshit. You know, you got to find something to how to deal with what the things we went through, the stuff that keeps us right here. You know, and it's that SA when I was 6, losing my mom when I was 6, that ex-wife that she got pregnant and told me my kid's not having your last name unless you do. Okay, here, I threw a ring at her. You know what I mean? And then that crashed and burned because I was a raging alcoholic. You know what I mean? It wasn't her that did it. It was me because I didn't know how to deal with anything, and especially a wife. You know, I got 3 of those, 3 ex-wives. Today I am married. I've been married for 7 years, September 16th, and I have not had an argument one in the whole time I've been married. Not once. Not a crossword spoken. Is that possible? Is that possible?
I still don't believe it.
I'm telling you, never. My wife is, and it's the type of person she is, because I'm not. No, I'm a little. I mean, you get up in my face, I'm up in your face. You know what I mean? That's still me today. I have to apologize quite often for that, you know, because my character defects come out. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm not fixed. I'm still working a program. Will be for the rest of my life. You know, but my wife is just such an amazing woman. Yeah, amazing.
I love that.
I hope she's not down there and can hear me. She might be. If she is, I love her, and she knows it.
You know, we've been talking about Matt all month long, and there's such a negative connotation about any form of medically assisted treatment, and that comes more from the normies and the programs. And you know, because it's words, right? You know, people hear the word sober and you're defined as abstinent from alcohol. They hear the word clean, they say that they're abstinent from any and all outside substances. And then, you know, the program says, okay, if you're doing these you know, medically assisted treatments, you aren't clean. You're not sober. You're not this. You're not that. And we need to end the stigma, man. And everybody just needs to get along and forget all these words. The only word that matters is recovery. And there's 1,000 different paths that lead to recovery. And what is it for one person to define another person? Stop playing God and just focus on your own recovery.
Mind your business.
Mind your business.
Mind your business. My wife, speaking of my wife, okay, we got together. I had 4 months clean. She had 4 months clean. They said, don't get into a relationship in the rehab you're in, right? Because I like ladies, right? So so they said, don't get in. I said, okay, cool. So I went to a meeting and I found a chick at the Haven, which is a recovery house down the road, right? So I didn't go. I got out of my house and went somewhere else, right? But me and Casey got together, and by the time we got out of rehab, within a month and a half, she was pregnant. She had a miscarriage. About 2 weeks later, she was pregnant again, right? That's my daughter. We had to get away from each other. We had to get away from each other because Brent don't know how to act. I know how to act a fool, you know, and she's pregnant with my kid, and we're both early recovery, real. What do I say? You know, if you're looking for a girlfriend in early recovery or a boyfriend in early recovery, it's like going to Walmart and shopping at the dented can aisle, you know, and that's real. And that's real, you know, and her and I were dented together, and we had to get away from each other for 4 months. We got back together a couple months later. We got married. We had the baby, and I'm blessed today. But it took start working a program. It took getting out of my way and doing something about my problem, learning how to set boundaries, learning how to talk to people, learning how to react to people. React. I hate that word. I don't use that word anymore. Because if I'm reacting to something you did, Johnny, or something you did, Krista, do I have any power in that situation? Or did I just give all that shit to you? I just gave it all to you. So if I'm reacting, you got all the power, right? I gave it all away. So as long as I'm reacting in spiritual principles and not reacting to you in my own principles, I'm going to be all right. So react is something I've taken out of my vocabulary, and I hate when it comes out my mouth. So I have to correct it right there by saying that. And I do it every time now. But but my wife was on Matt. And once she got out and she started coming to the rooms and listening, and this is on her own, she decided that she didn't want Suboxone anymore. And she just weaned herself off it, and she took herself off it, and she didn't go back. She hasn't relapsed, and she took herself off. So that was part of the program, not me telling you, because, you know, I mean, and that's where my boundaries come in with sponsees. And I've heard a couple of people's feelers, you know, because I don't have to work someone through 12 steps if they're on Matt, and I won't, you know. But that's my boundary. We start here. I let you know this. Somebody else probably might. I will not. You know, you have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you can go find somebody else. So I'm not going to condemn somebody for it. But my willingness to sponsor somebody through the 12 steps when they're planning on making it a lifestyle is not going to happen. That's me. But I'm not going to condemn someone. I'm not going to tell them they're not clean. You know, you're doing this your way. It's none of my business. But I can't and won't. You know, my sponsorship tree is long and deep. I mean, I know my grand sponsor, I know his sponsor, and, you know, we got a big recovery community here in Tucson, Arizona. That's absolutely amazing, you know. But that's not me. We have our meeting started during COVID, and they don't like people sharing that use Matt and this and that, and I don't agree with that, you know, because that's between them and their sponsor, and that's that part, you know. It's between you and your sponsor. If your sponsor is willing to work you through the 12 steps and you're on Matt, or see, I'll work 1, 2, 3, and then there has to be a plan. If there's not a plan, then, but without getting going in that, and 1, 2, 3 are, one's the most important one, right? But 2 and 3 are right there. 4 is when you're getting into you and the personal stuff, and the why you do what you do, why you reacted to stuff the way you did, you know. And I believe that by that point you should be able to be at a point in your recovery where you can learn how we do this without anything, you know, without putting something else in the way of. And it took this program. If it wasn't, like I said, I'll say it again, if it wasn't for this program, I would be in prison or still using. And that even if they let me out and put me on Suboxone or put me on methadone, I would still use today if I had not found a program. So yes, absolutely. If you want to stay clean, look around. Look at how many people have years clean, and every single one of them did I meet. Just about. There's your rare one in there that did it on their own, or still struggling through life with the life on life's terms and not having to have a bad enough excuse to use. I know a couple of them that are 42 years clean and still struggling through it. And one of them actually just picked up a book recently. I'm so proud of her, because she realized, you see where we don't know how to deal with stuff, you know. And my program's different than Johnny's program, and Krista's another program. I'm pretty sure there's 3 different programs right here, and we don't ever have to use again, and we know this. But,
you know, I think the problem, Brent, is as a society, we're too hell-bent on being the best. My program is the best. My program is better than your program because my program saved me, and my program saved my friend, and my program is better than this and this and this. And we got to get out of that mindset, right? We got to get out of that mindset and look at the stats. AA has saved millions of people. NA has saved millions of people. Matt has saved millions of people. Smart Recovery has saved millions of people. CR has saved millions of people. Why are we so hell-bent on fighting everybody? My book tells me straight up, we've ceased fighting everything and everyone. Let people go live. Let people do what they do. And, you know, you need the MAT program because you had traumatic experiences that led you to opiates that are, you know, the hardest thing to kick. And MAT can help you. And then you can develop a program with that. Why is that bad? I'm telling you, people need to shut up. People need to
It's not.
shut up.
Yeah, and that's what
Right?
I love about what we're doing on TikTok. I mean, it
Right.
takes away, like, we're stepping out of the program, but we're coming together. We all have
Because
one
it's
thing in
not about
common.
our,
We want
it's
to
not,
heal. We want to be better people, and we just want to love one another, and we love each other for hearing about the worst moments we've ever done. And
right,
I take something from everyone, like
right.
from all
Yeah,
walks of life, and I think we're over there breaking the stigma in
right.
TikTok.
Because you're spitting your recovery. You're not spitting what your book says. I don't
Right.
ever spit. It drives me nuts when I go to a meeting and I see someone there spitting book at me. Please save that shit. You know, I can go home and read my book. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
tell me how you did it. It wasn't because you sat down. Okay, so you got to get
Okay.
out of yourself. Get out. You sit down and read your book. Great. What's it do to you? What did it say to you? What do you do with that information you took from it? Don't spit book to me. You know, I don't have a photographic memory. I couldn't do it, but I can pick my book up and read it to you on TikTok. I promise you. You know, I ain't going to. I'm going to spit this real shit. You know, I'm going to spit how I stay where I'm at. How none of this stuff holds me back today because I got out of my way and read that book and put some work into myself. And, you know, and that's what it's about. It's not about in your program is not better or less than mine because look at you clean. Look at what you did. That wasn't Narcotics Anonymous. That was AA. It's totally different. Guess what? It fucking works if you work it, and it still works if you don't. It just works for someone else.
Amen. That's all that matters. All right, let's I want to bring up a kind of a more fun subject because Matt's it's controversial. We can beat that. Last week we had our friend Benjamin Lerner on here, and dude, Benjamin is so smart and he knows the Matt program so well. If anybody wants more details about the Matt program and all the ins and outs and everything, just watch last week's episode. You're gonna hear a lot. But you know, I want to ask a more fun question. I almost said funner, a more fun question. And I'm going to ask this to everybody in the comments as well. The question is, why do you recover out loud? And that's I think that this is one of my recovery out loud is enormous, and it's something that's finally happening, and I think social media has helped do that. But Brent, I'm going to ask you, and then Krista, I'm going to ask you, why do you recover out loud? And if you've got something in the comments, please tell us why you recover out loud, and we'll read those. Go ahead, Brent.
And the main reason is is for all those years in active addiction when I felt some kind of way about those things that happened to me. Yeah, and the one mainly, you know, that's something that I couldn't come out and talk to anybody about. Now that right there, I couldn't tell you about it because it in my own head, it cut back on the my manhood or the type of person that I am because this happened to me and because I was all up in my head about this stuff for a long time. Nobody knew, you know what I mean? Because I was holding it back because I felt some kind of way. And that feeling some kind of way is such a big reason of me using because I felt some kind of way and I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't tell you because now you're going to think some kind of way about me. You know, I couldn't tell Krista because she's going to think some kind of way about me. Oh, a potential girlfriend? Oh, hell no. You know what I mean? So it was the stuff it did to my to that shit bouncing around between my ears that held me back for so long. So if I can freely talk about it and still stand up tall, show you how broad my shoulders are, I can hold up the weight of the world, right? Because it doesn't do anything to me unless I let it. You know, it's going to hold me back. We're only as sick as our secrets, right? That's real. That's real. Because if I can't tell you about it, that means I feel some kind of way about it. I'm going to bottle it up inside and it's going to do something to me. We hold that shit in and it tears us apart. You know, whether we see it or not, it does. Once I was able to come out here and get in a live sense and tell y'all I was sexually assaulted at 6 years old, you know, it doesn't make me feel any kind of way. You know why? Because it's a common denominator. other people are staying sick the same way because they can't, because they won't, because they feel some kind of way. Guess what? Yes, you can. Yes, you need to. And watch what happens once you start. So those things that only as sick as our secrets. The programs say it. They all probably say the same thing in there somewhere, right? We're only as sick as our secrets. If we can't talk about it, we can't throw it out here. We're feeling some kind of way about it, and that's giving us ample reason, ample excuse, right? Ample excuse to not feel that no more, right? So I'm gonna go drink. I'm gonna smoke some weed. I'm gonna do some heroin, whatever, and I don't need or have any excuses today because I can tell you all about it with no shame, absolutely no shame, because every time I do it in my life or something else, every time I'm in my life, and I speak this, someone in the chat says something like I needed to hear that, or they come up in a box and start talking about it for the first time. I don't know how many times that's happened, a lot, because I'm able to do that, and it gets somebody else out of their shell. So this is the other reason we do it. This isn't about me anymore. What the part that is about me is that I can do it with absolutely no shame, no character. It doesn't do anything to my character. I'm a good dude. I'm a good dad. I'm a good husband. And that's not holding me back thinking that I couldn't be because this happened, or because that's what it does. It does that shit to your head. It gives you some dulled perspective on life because you're holding this shit in and don't want nobody else to know. Anybody can talk about anything. We gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable and spit it out and watch what starts happening.
Nate Smith said in the comments, I would think being out loud for people would be to be proud. So to share their others' motivation, they can also do it. That's that hits right in the nail with what you were just saying. Jojo said she recovers out loud to keep others from dying in silence. Carly, who is a recovery out loud ally. She's not in recovery, but she is an ally because families need to learn about how to support the addicts in our lives. And Jeremy Thompson says so other people can hear it and stop fearing recovery. Bearfire, your boy Bearfire, recover out loud, help the next one struggling. Casey Wells says, I recover out loud for the still suffering addict and the newcomers to recovery.
That's my wife.
Casey Wells.
Oh, Casey.
Casey, it's so nice to meet you. Brent speaks so highly of you, and I got to ask you a question. Have you guys ever had a fight in your marriage? We're going to get to the bottom of this right now. I feel like Geraldo, Brent. You don't even know. We're going to get to the bottom.
I think he's confident in it. I think he's
Casey, have you and Brent? Okay, let's see. And Eager Beaver, what a great name. Eager Beaver 50 says, I recover out loud because I'm not ashamed anymore. What other people think about me is none of my business. I recover out loud because I work steps. I become a better person. I do it for my family and to help others. Jimmy, our boy Jimmy says, it worked for me to talk out loud. And our friend Tracy's in here. I recover out loud so people don't have to suffer like I did. So my life when I was in addiction, I was suffering, won't be in vain. And Casey is Brent's wife. We asked her in the comments, have they ever had a fight? And she says, we have not. We learned to work through our issues instead of arguing.
Thought I was supposed to.
I believe him.
I believe him. Hey, inquiring minds wanted to know. So I had to, Brent, thank goodness Casey showed up. And Keely says 14 months sober. Longest. Yeah, we're love you. Proud of you. And then our friend Lauren, who Lauren's one of my favorite TikTok stories. We saw her on day one, and now she's got 6 months, and she's just doing tremendous. just recently started doing it publicly to people local so I can be a vessel to help others still suffering. 6 months stronger, we do recover. Congratulations, Lauren. I love that.
Absolutely, Lauren.
I'm telling you,
We love you.
the community that we have, the community that you have is you know, it's strong, and the recovery's strong. And you know, me by myself, I get drunk, I get high, but together, never alone, never again. It's amazing. Krista, why do you recover out loud?
Well, I can't keep it if I don't give it away. You
Damn.
know, and it was someone telling me their testimony, recovering out loud, is what even made this all me want to be in recovery. Why did it take me going to jail so many times, facing so much time for me to learn about recovery? I thought they were gatekeeping this stuff. I'm like, why am I just learning about this? I want people to, I wish people were out there recovering out loud when I was getting sober. My journey may have started a little sooner, but like, I speak on things I wish I would have heard. And it's like Brent said, people that pop in and say, like, I needed to hear that. Like, you know how many times I prayed for a sign? Like, maybe that one video of me showing my sober day is a sign someone needs to see. Or, you know, they're just, because a lot of people are, that's what they do when they're depressed or struggling. They're just sitting there scrolling. So like on TikTok and all the stuff I do on social media, that's like where my mind goes. Like, or put a quote that might help encourage somebody. I put myself in someone else's shoes, you know, and it's for the ones still suffering in silence, because that you suffer in silence. You don't want to talk about it. And then a problem shared is a problem cut in half. And you are as sick as your secret. So I want to keep it. So I'm giving it away.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I recover out loud today because early recovery sucks. Early recovery is so hard. Early recovery, I mean, it's one thing for the people that need recovery, right? But then you get those people that want recovery but can't get it. Those are the people that I think about the most. And I think about my first 2 years sober. I didn't love being sober. My first 2 years being sober, I went to meetings. I went every day, and I didn't have a job. I started school. I was digging through my mom's cushions so I could get money for smokes, you know, and it was hard. And that message of hope is just keep going, right? You know, and we have to be examples. We have to show people that just keep going. It gets better. The beginning is hard. You know, I fell in love with the program. I fell in love with the people in the program. I fell in love with their hope that they could get better. And I kept going and kept doing what I was doing and stayed strong. And because of it, my life got better eventually. But you know, recovering out loud there's a lot of different buckets that go along with that. You know, it's for the people that don't think they need recovery. We got to be there. We got to be a big book or a basic text or whatever for them, so they can know that there's something out there. But then those newcomers in the meetings that are struggling, and you know that the old solution is very close. We have all these years of learned behavior, and then all of a sudden we get this little blink of recovery, be it a 28-day program, be it detox, whatever. You get this blink of recovery, and then it doesn't turn out so good. So why not go back to the old solution? That's what most people do. That's why you hear people say that they go to rehab 18 times, because they don't get past that little blip and they go back. And we got to keep fighting and keep pushing and keep motivating. And recover out loud is so that, yes, the beginning sucks, but it gets better, man. It gets better. And that's the voice that I get to have today. And you know, so this is amazing. I love this. Thank you for everybody who gave us their answers in the comments, and we got to read. I'm telling you, I love bringing the community into this stuff with us. Another fun question. You want another fun question, Brent?
Come on.
What's your favorite thing about recovery?
My favorite thing about recovery after being here for a few 24 hours is seeing someone that came in and maybe went back out and come back in again, but they kept coming back and they stayed when stuff that comes out their mouth starts making sense, and they start not letting things hold them back, and watching other people behind me go through the same stuff I did, and you can see it. Those newcomers. When I was a newcomer, remember that nonsense coming out my mouth? All of us. That it was just nonsense because we had to get it out. But when it starts making sense, and watching people catching a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, the ones that stick and stay, that get out of their way and do something about their problem. That is my favorite part of recovery. Watching those light bulbs come on.
It's so amazing. I love that. And everybody in the comments is kind of saying the same thing right now. Their favorite thing is the community, watching the light come back in another's eyes.
That was my answer. Jolene took my answer.
Yeah,
but
Jolene,
I have a backup answer.
Good. And so Chris and I have been doing this for a while, and every now and then we'll go on just the two of us because somebody will cancel or whatever. And these are the kind of questions we get to ask, and these are the fun ones. These are the ones where
Right.
You really get to see the joy. So Krista, let's hear option B.
I'm always prepared. Jolene takes my answer all the time, but it's okay. Compassion, the compassion and recovery from others. I was raised what I thought was unconditional love, and then it changed through the years, and it broke me. And I might get emotional, but like, you guys in recovery love me for my worst moments, and there's no judgment, and there's suggestions left and right. You don't have to take the first suggestion. You can go down the line, or there's always like a solution to your problem. And there's so much growth, and the best is yet to come. Like, it just keeps getting better and better. And it's really the network of people, the compassion that they bring to it.
Absolutely.
That's so good. So good. My buddy Scotty Abel is in the comments right now, and he's gonna come on our podcast, and he's a shoe collector as well. And so we'll have a lot to talk about. So Scotty, get ready, get your calendar out.
So Scott.
There's so many things about recovery, but the thing, learning about myself and learning what actually takes, because we don't, normal people, and especially when I was out there using and drinking, I didn't look internal and see my character defects and my shortcomings and things like that. I couldn't tell you that I was being selfish. It wasn't until I came to the program that learned I was a selfish son of a bitch, and learning about myself and actually being able to fix some of the things that, made me the broken person that I was. I came into the program with no self-esteem, and all these different things that we're talking about, they're esteemable acts. Watching someone, helping someone get the light come back in their eyes, seeing someone, with the light bulb go off, these are esteemable acts, and I get to feel better about myself by being an active part in someone else's life. And wow, is it awesome going to H&I, and H&I is hospitals and institution, for those that don't know. Going into a hospital and talking to people in detox, and then seeing them at a meeting, and then seeing them 6 months later, and then it's tremendous, and it makes me feel good that God put me someplace at just the right time. I'm very fortunate. I've been able to help family members get sober, and I didn't do anything. God put me in the right place at the right time, and has taught me years and years of things about recovery that I'm able to talk to someone. And my little sister and her husband both have 7 years sober. My ex-brother-in-law, he was in detox for the 4th time, and finally able to convince him to go and do something different and go to treatment. And I'm telling you, this is the amazing stuff. Favorite thing about recovery, this is the broadest, topic we could ever talk about, because there's so much awesomeness in recovery. So, today we've talked about Matt, we've talked about Recover Out Loud, we've talked about our favorite things in recovery. We've got so many awesome people that are in this live right now. Brent, what is something that you would tell the newcomer?
There's so many different things. One of my common denominators when I'm at a newcomer meeting and stuff is talking about the things that I heard in early recovery. And actually the person that I heard say it, you guys hear me say it a lot. I've said it in your rooms. I say it in my room. I said it here already, I'm sure. It was this dude, Mike. He came in, he was in the rooms. He's a great big old dude. And he said, when I finally realized that my problem was me, and that I had to get out of my way and do something about my problem, it is probably one of the most common ones I say to him, because it took me hearing him say that for it to resonate. And he has since gone back out. He's no longer in the rooms with us. He's gone back out and he's in active addiction. So if come out of his mouth today would be a crock of shit, right? Because his ass doesn't match his mouth, right? But it said something to me when he said it, and it was pretty simple. It's like, get out of your way and do something about your problem. It starts with us. It's not how you make me feel, or how do I make me feel, because that's my problem. It's not the drugs or the alcohol. It's like, what am I doing to myself because of this sexual assault or mother dying or how many ex-wives later, you know what I mean? And those things that were all caused by me, you know what I mean? In the interim, I mean, there's other factors out there, but none of that matters. Let's just talk about me here, you know what I mean? And I had to do something about all those things, so that's the biggest thing is getting out of my way. Getting out of my way. We just got to get out of our way and do something about our problem and find something that works. And I can point you a few different directions that work. There's two right there. You know what I mean? There's so many different things that'll work, but we all have to start with getting the fuck out of our way and doing something about our problem.
Casey says in the comments, get through 5 steps and watch what happens. He tells all
that's
the new.
That's one of my. I say that, and I say it in meetings all the time. That get through 5 of these steps. Take this suggestion where don't sidestep around anything. Like if you were sexually assaulted, don't step around that because I don't want to tell you about it, right? All right. Don't sidestep around anything. And if you hit everything head on, all these things that are bothering you, and you don't sidestep them, you hit them on, you hit everything head on, and talk about all this stuff, and get to 5 steps. And if you did all that stuff, didn't sidestep around anything, and you get to step 5, you get done with it, and something in your head hasn't changed, something in your life hasn't changed, come find me in any room of Narcotics Anonymous in Tucson, Arizona, because I was in all of them back then, right? All the time. Come tell me how full of shit I am. And the only reason I'm telling you any of this is because if you do that like that, watch what happens. You'll never be able to tell me. And I still hear it today that people come up to me and share that. I hear them sharing after me saying, you said this to me 4 years ago. And then I'll crosstalk a little bit and say, well, can you call me out? He said, no, I can't. So, I get that more often than not. And that was it, just don't hold back and face everything and watch what happens. That's my program, your program, anybody down in the chat. I don't care what program you work. If you get out your way, do something about your problem, face it all head on, get through 5 of these steps and watch. We all know, yeah, blessed because I got on my way and did something about my program.
Dude, this has been phenomenal, man. I want to thank you for coming on here and sharing with us. Anybody who wants to follow Brent, we just put Brent's TikTok in the chat, and you can go into the chat, and there's a link on all of his stuff. And I think moving forward, Krista, we got to have all significant others of our guests in the comments.
I'd love for you to ask my wife.
That would be so phenomenal.
I love it.
Maybe we're gonna have Casey on here next, and Brent will be in the comments telling us the real story. But God loves you guys, and we want to thank everybody for coming out. Next week we've got a big guest next week, so it's gonna be, we're excited. And Brent, thank you so much again, brother. And
I love the both of you guys and everybody down in the chat. I know a bunch of you, so you guys know. And even if I don't know you, I love you, and you're worth it.
We love you, Brent.
Appreciate you guys.
God loves you, and so do we. And with that, we'll see you next week.